This shit says I'm live, baby. Let me make sure I'm live. This motherfucker. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Sweet the Podcast. I just really got to make sure this shit is live on these pages. And this is your host. Yes, it is Will.the, your sweet boy, ASMR king of podcast, Will the Third. And this is episode 23. I know on the other bottom of the page I had that it was 23 on the last episode, Tea with Friends, but it wasn't. This one is actually episode 23. If you look at the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and all that, all the correct episode numbers are there. And now following this episode, they'll be correct at the bottom of this shit scrolling. Okay, so today we have a guest chiming in all the way from LA, Los Angeles, where they are still on the lockdown and have been extended on the lockdown of a bit further. And we have none other than Joshua J. Pinkay, J.Pin. And I'm going to bring him in right now. What's up?
Hey, what's poppin'?
That's how you fucking come in a fucking live.
You know.
I appreciate it.
What's the tea? The girls are fighting. They're not fighting.
Why they got to be doing all that?
I don't know. I'm drinking. I don't even know what to say. But
no, that's what the girls are doing. It's all right. So how you doing? How's the quarantine treating you in California? What's the tea over there for real?
It's hot today. For me personally, quarantine has been okay. I can't complain. I've been blessed in my scenario. Thankfully, I am still working, and I already worked from home. So my routine hasn't changed too much.
Okay.
Other than the social aspect of my life being impacted, a lot of my personal routine hasn't changed. And so I've been good. Thankfully, I feel blessed.
And how long did the stay-at-home order for you guys? You don't even know.
They've extended it through July.
Damn.
So they're saying we're gonna come out of it in August, but I mean I don't know what that's gonna be now. So
they should have done that here because Florida is opening gyms up Monday, and yeah, they don't give a fuck. They.
I mean, I think that's the case for like a few states.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary to think what that's gonna be looking like for a lot of people, but. Oh Lord, I'm gonna just keep praying. I'm gonna be praying for everyone.
Keep praying. Now you said that you do work from home, and is that where you do you edit your magazine from home? How is that what you do?
Everything. So either business-wise, there's two things. So the bread and butter for 6 years, I've been a publicist working in entertainment, lifestyle, beauty, and cannabis and events. And then on the side is the media thing. So I write. I'm a senior editor.
Cannabis? You say cannabis?
Yes.
What about cannabis?
The cannabis industry as a whole. So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So and then on the side, I do my media thing. So I'm a senior editor for Obvious Magazine, senior editor for SoCal Mag, and then I contribute to a few other platforms along the way. And then I host my podcast and stuff like that. So I do everything from home.
And when did you start with Obvious Magazine? And were you like college editor in your college, or all those things that most people that are editors at magazines started out as, like Devil Wears Prada?
So actually, no. I discovered writing in high school. For me, like I've always had a thing for words. I had some really great English teachers, and I discovered that talent. But going into college, I was studying communications. I minored in English. And then I'm from New Orleans originally. And Hurricane Katrina hit. And my life was turned upside down. And then I didn't know what to do. And then I somehow transitioned into the fashion industry. And I left writing alone for a while, for like 12 years. Yeah. But it was like a muscle that I just wasn't flexing. Like it was there, but I just wasn't utilizing it. So what ended up happening was I was kind of phasing out of one industry, and I wanted to write, and I met an editor over at the LA Fashion Magazine, and they wanted more contributors, and I was like, "Yo, holla at your boy." And so it was just kind of one of those things where like you meet the right person and they'll put you in the right place, and that's kind of where being an editor, my journey there started. So from there, I've moved to a few different magazines.
Holy shit. And how
Yeah.
long have you been senior editor at Obvious?
So I've been with them about a year and a half. I've had a relationship with the editor in chief, Jairus, for years, 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 years. We've been friends for years. And I've always respected his platform. Obvious Magazine is 12 years old. I've seen it evolve. I've seen all the different things that he's done with his team, with the magazine itself. And so I've always appreciated his work, and he and I've always maintained a great professional relationship. And he was switching up some things over on his staff, and he's in LA, I'm in LA, and his staff is in different cities. And so he really wanted somebody here,
Right.
that was local, that could like work with him directly. And he had been paying attention to some of the stuff that I was doing. So he reached out to me and asked, and it was almost serendipitous. It was like, yeah, like, are you kidding me? Like, I trust you as an editor. I appreciate you letting me want to, use my voice for something. So, and that's just kind of how it went. They approached me, and here I am.
You are that story. I mean, like, damn, for you to just come to LA, meet the right people. You're from New Orleans, pre-Katrina. Katrina is what relocated you to New California, right?
No, 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 no. So I didn't move to LA until 2010.
Okay.
Katrina is just what, like, it kind of turned my life around, because like I was out of school, and then I started working. What happened was Katrina hit, and then my school was closed, and then my original job was closed, and then what happened in New Orleans is a lot of people just wanted to party. So like these production companies and stuff were like throwing events and stuff like that. And I remember participating in like this like small college fashion show. And I was like, man, this is a lot of fun. I want to do this. So I started surrounding myself around different promoters, and then I collaborated with this one company that it doesn't exist anymore, but at the time they were called Ebba Networks, and they put on an event called First Fridays. So the first Friday of every month, it was an opportunity for people to gather young urban professionals, upwardly mobile individuals in the city that, like, they were entrepreneurs or whatever, but they wanted to have a good time. And so every month they put on this event, and they hired me on as their senior promotions and talent manager. And so from there, I just started working on productions. I would hire like staff and models and talent. And I mean, that's kind of, I was like, dang. And in that experience, I was working with a lot of designers, like a lot of like boutiques and local fashion designers wanted me to help them put on their productions. And that was cool, and I loved it. But that was the catalyst that got me to LA, because my city was nowhere that could thrive. Like, right. I wasn't going to go anywhere with it. So I was like, I need to either get to LA or New York, and really make something of this, if that's the route that I wanted to go. So that's what got me to LA. Yeah. Now, so I've been here 10 years now. I just made 10 years in January.
And do you like it out there?
I love it. LA is home for me. Like, I've planted my roots here. I have my tribe here. I've definitely learned a lot about myself, my identity, everything. Yeah, LA is home for me for sure.
Now, whatever device is on the other playback, turn it down, because I hear myself.
Oh, do you hear yourself?
I hear me. I hear me.
Let me see.
I don't want to hear me.
I think I fixed it.
Okay, okay. Great. Now you've done all this. You've had a passion for writing, one that was hungry in high school, and all that happened in your life. You got into an industry of fashion, hobnobbing, rubbing shoulders with that community. You shifted out to LA, and you upped up with different magazines, editor of Obvious Magazine. Now, Also, you do a podcast, and it's called LayMayDay. No, it's called Limelight, but the company that produces it,
Yeah,
LayMayDay.
is LayMayDay. So LayMayDay is a production company that shows LayMayDay Limelight, and yeah, we are in the middle of our third season. Well, not so much the middle, but yeah, we're on our third season. I co-host it with my wonderful co-host and the creator of LayMayDay, Sharique LeMay, who she's been a great friend and a great partner on the media aspect of things. Yeah, that's my girl. That's us right there. That was our
That's all
promo
right.
for season 3.
Boom, boom.
Bam, bam. So yeah, she and I came up with this concept. I used to produce another show, another online radio talk show, and I had her on as a guest. And that specific episode, my host wasn't available. So I had her come on and I hosted. And our banter with each other it clicked, it
Right.
worked. And when that show ended, like we just stayed in contact and we saw synergy there. And we're like, we got to create something. And about 2 years after that, that's when Limelight was born and created this. We wanted to create a platform that was dedicated to creatives, something that spoke directly to them. And we touch on topics like being a creative and your relationship with your parents, or being a creative and the homie discount. Like that was an episode. Creatives and relationships, creatives and politics. How do all of these different aspects of life affect the creative professional?
Right.
And we didn't really see anyone having those types of conversations. So that's kind of where it was birthed. It was like, you're a creative, I'm a creative. What can we do? What are the things that we want to talk about? We even talked about creatives and wellness, mental health, creatives and food, all of the things that encompass your normal life, but in the way that we view them. And it can be everything from culinary to film to music. The conversation is specifically for all-encompassing creatives, and that was really our goal. So yeah.
So it's basically driven for creatives. Is she LGBTQ plus or just no?
She's an ally. Yeah, no, she's hetero, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
we like hetero. I mean, hey, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I wanted to know. It's just basically
Yeah, she's definitely an ally, and we've crossed multiple conversations, and we've had several guests on the show that are within the queer spectrum, and so we definitely touch on those topics. I'm obviously queer. I identify as cisgendered, gay, Latino male, so that definitely comes up, and we talk about that. So yeah.
Okay. Now, with all of that creative talk, I'm glad you segued into this.
Mm-hmm.
The first step of this creative shit. Now, when when we first started in the quarantine, when this all began in March, pretty much, well, people are like, okay, they're telling you bitches to stay home, don't go to work, all this. And people who are creatives, who do video, podcasting, web series, art, painting, cooking, all these things, they're like, okay, now you're at home and everyone's telling you, now this is time to create. Do it. Go. Create. Be your... This is the time. I'm going to get to another aspect of this, but this first aspect is, do you feel like that's pressure on a creative to like, okay, I get this is the time, but first give me a chance to process this pandemic shit.
Yeah.
Let me get all this, and then I can see about how I'm going to create. How do you feel about how was it pressure, or do you feel that's not pressure?
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned that because, like I mentioned, we were in our season 3, but we didn't get to finish production. We had 3 more episodes to film. So when quarantine happened, a couple weeks in, Sharique and I talked and we're like, let's go on IG Live and let's discuss specifically the pressures of the pandemic and how it's affecting us. Literally this exact same thing. And so my thing was, there was so much talk. I was seeing Facebook statuses and tweets and IG and everything. People saying, take this time to create and start your business plan and do this and this X, Y, Z, until you line up all these things. But the reality is that the reality for a lot of people is that we weren't in the mental capacity to do that. Some people were and some people weren't. And
Right.
so the conversation that we wanted to have was to alleviate some of that pressure off creatives, because by no means are you required, just because we're in quarantine, you're required to do XYZ, fill out the business plan, because this shit is real. And productivity doesn't just encompass you doing XYZ. Productivity is also staying healthy, taking care of yourself, taking care of your mind. That is also being productive, because at the end of the day, we're dealing with something, with a virus that's affecting us globally, and it's something that most of us don't understand. And so if the only thing you care to focus on right now, or the only thing that you can focus on right now, is staying healthy and staying safe, you're being as productive as you absolutely need to be, because your life matters more than anything else. And so that was the conversation that we wanted to have, because I know in the beginning I had my moments where my anxiety levels were like, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't focus on anything. I couldn't read a book. I couldn't design stuff. I couldn't write. I was not in the space, and I wasn't going to let anyone pressure me into thinking that I was being unproductive. No, I was putting myself in the capacity to understand what we're dealing with and what precautions I need to take to make sure that I stay healthy.
And that mentality is kind of like a capitalistic mentality, honestly, because you feel like if you're not working, if you're not doing something, you're not the best human being you can be. You're
Right.
you're lazy and all of this. And
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and you're right, in the beginning there was a lot of pressure to create, and it's weird how people don't relate the capitalistic side of being a creative and the pressure to create with it just being artsy and whatever fartsy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay,
No.
because say
We're
for me,
right now we're living in circumstances that are way beyond our control. So it's not like it's just a regular thing. Oh, we knew this was going to happen. We did not know we were going to be in lockdown. We did not know there was going to be a virus that was going to kill 80,000 people in America, and that number increasingly growing by the day. We didn't know any of those things. So in order to, you have to be able to, one, process all of that before you can even consider other things, I think, for your own sanity. And if you can thrive during this moment, if you can create, then by all means, I commend you, because that's awesome. It's awesome that you have the strength, the mentality to be in that space. But if you don't, you shouldn't have to feel guilty about it either.
I feel you. And
Yeah.
because I work a regular job, and see,
Mm-hmm.
my whole focus when all this shit was going down was, should I be in this motherfucking office or do I need to be leaving? And then when I'm transferred to home, I went through this battle with my job and blah, blah, blah. My job was really good with getting us transitioned out. Monday, they want us to come back in.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a whole nother story that I'm not going to get into, but I'm going to be in that bitch just to see. My safety and health is first, but I'm going to go in this because, number one, I do need that check. That check is funding this.
Right.
So, I
it's
mean,
funding the passion,
that's why
and that's the case for a lot of us.
So that was my main priority when this shit kicked off, my job, because I get the creativity side, but if I don't have nothing that can fund the creativity, I'm fucked up. And unemployment and in Florida is terrible. So I'm not going to go wait through that process for unemployment check when I have a job. I'm not doing that. And I at first, the first month and two, I was very touch and go with the creating. Like I was just, I developed this shit during that time, but this was after I had already figured out what was going on. This is after we got our first stimulus. The stimulus definitely helped stimulate this Sweet the Podcast.
Yeah.
So,
well, shout out to you for being able to not just pivot, but to evolve something you already had, and once you acquired a different resource, you turned it into this, which is like, I'm impressed. I'm like, all right.
That's what I used. Most of it was used for bills. The rest was all used for this. I didn't buy other frivolous shit or nothing like that. Boom. But thank you, stimulus, and fuck you, Trump, Now,
Period.
period, bitch. And like Trump said, okay, you know what? I'm done with this interview. I'm finna close all this shit out. Fuck off. I'm done. Okay, now I'm gonna segue a little bit. It's still relating to creatives, but it was something that we was talking about that I seen you tweet a few days ago.
Juice, the meat.
The
and
meat
it's gonna get juicy.
The whole shit that's gonna probably ruffle a few feathers on my side, but hey, fuck it. But is intellectual property and this is the first step I want to take in that. You address this very well on Twitter. Can you just give a brief little description of what your version or definition of what intellectual property is for the people?
So intellectual property is basically something that you own that came out of your mind, whether that be a pitch email or a list of contacts or a design aesthetic, a template of sorts. All of those things are intellectual property. And most people who understand the term have a set of intellectual property of things they can just literally pull out of their ass with no work at all, right? But the thing is, in order to create intellectual property, it requires some years of training. Like, you know, you've trained and you've done things and you've practiced to acquire the skill sets that you have. And so when you look at it, it's a matter of, I can do this one thing in 5 minutes or less, but you're not going to pay me for the 5 minutes. You're going to pay me for the years it took me to get to that.
Right.
And so that's where the intellectual property steps in. It's like my intellectual property, regardless of how much time it takes me to do it, whether it's an hour or a minute, 60 seconds, it's not free.
Okay.
It's not free. So intellectual property costs things as well. And so it was my rant on Twitter dealt with something that I literally dealt with that week. And I was just like, I'm about to listen. So I was just kind of, I was letting it out.
And it came right on time for me, because it came at a time where someone who I worked with that helped me do certain things, graphics or what have you, asked me to assist them in teaching another one of their clients this platform.
Okay.
Now I recommended this platform because I didn't want to be like, okay, I don't try to hold anyone down. Everybody can do the same shit, but you can have different audiences. You can. That's how I feel about it. I can tell you hey, this is what I use.
Yeah.
But you have to figure that shit out, because I figured it out. I didn't have anyone. I had to research. The YouTube University is very real.
Oh, it's real. Oh, I know. I've seen the links. I have access to it.
And you need that shit will teach you everything. YouTube taught me about podcasting, and you gotta pay attention to a lot of things that you see a video. If you watch a certain podcast or listen to how they set their shit up.
It's way more than just setting up a camera and talking. You don't just hit record and then all the magic happens. No, there's a series of things that you got to do to make sure that it looks right, that it comes out good.
And people are like, okay, well, how did you do that? Well, what are you using? Well, can you show me? And can you walk? But I don't want to be an asshole, and I don't want to be like, oh, I'm trying to hold back the culture, keep the other gays down, or keep the other creatives down, or keep the other Black and Latino. It's not that. It's that I worked to research this and build it to what it is. I can tell you what I use, but I can't tell you how I do it. And I'm sorry, you're going to have to figure out how to use this shit. And I love you. I can give you points. And, oh, well, if I see something, I'm like, oh, well, try this instead of that. I'll do that. But I'm not, unless you pay me.
Right.
And then
if you want me to consult and literally, if I need to take complete time and like set it up for you like that, you could throw me a little something for that. Like, and it don't even have to be like a lot, but understand that my time is valuable. My time is worthy. And I've put in the work for what I'm doing. I'm not like I'm not just trying to just put people on. I'm too old. I'm too old.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
I'm not in you had to now that's what I wanted to hear. Just speaking real. I'm not just trying to put people on. Nobody put me on. I'm not on, but nobody's putting me on. I'm researching, I'm watching other people that I admire who do this same similar kind of shit. I don't do what they do, but I say, I like how they did that. Oh, I like how they asked that. I'll take bits and pieces from a lot of other different people, the shit that I like, and be like, okay, now how can I fit that kind of format to me and to what I got going on? That's exactly how. That's a tidbit for you, people.
Okay.
If you really want the tea, watch other people that are doing what you're wanting to do, what your passion is, and they will fucking guide you in how to do it. If it's meant for you to do, because God, the universe, the supreme spirit energy that we all come from, it will connect it to be what it's supposed to be, if it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do video way before this. That wasn't
And the thing about it with me is like I at the end of the day, like I want people around, or I want to collaborate with people who find value in that. And what started a series of tweets for me that week was, a specific situation that I don't mind going into.
Please go
where someone who, I don't even want to call this person a friend. I was involved with them at one point.
Okay.
That didn't work out. And then I moved on and whatever, right? We maintained a cordial but distant relationship, right? And this individual asked me to do some PR services for them. They're a creative as well, and they were releasing a project, and if you know anything about PR or publicity, like it's work, it's stressful stuff. I honestly don't even like it. I've been a publicist for 6 years. I'm good at it, but I don't enjoy it. I enjoy more like the branding and marketing aspects of my work.
I couldn't do it.
But anyway, so they were asking me to do something, and I said, I'll do it, but I won't do it for free. And they were like kind of reluctant to be like, oh, well, can you just give me the contacts that I need and I'll take care of it? And I said, well, that's going to cost you too. I was like, I'm not just going to give those up. I have contact lists, media contact lists that cost hundreds of dollars. And I offered them that list at a 75% discount. I mean, like,
cheap.
It was a steal. And so then they still had a problem with that. So then the conversation ended. And then literally 4 days later, they came at me and was like, so I thought we were friends. And I'm like, what are you getting at? I don't understand. They were like, well, I just don't understand because, I'm used to having people be supportive and excited about the things that I'm doing and the projects that I'm releasing. And it's like, you're just straight up charging me. And I thought, maybe you'd have more faith in me and, that you'd help me out here. And I was like, I'm confused because I collaborated and work with my friends all the time and they never have an issue paying me. And I pay for their services too. Right. On top of that, this person is so distant from me. It's like, even if I was going to do you a favor, you don't have that with me. I don't. And so I was just really taken aback at like how they were approaching the situation, because I was like, that's why I tweeted the first thing. I was like, you're not going to guilt trip me about asking me to work for free when you're the one who needs my services. That's my sister, Niche Nation. Hey, Niche Nation. They came and it was just so out of left field. And I had to put them in their place and say, hey, look, I'm not going to do it. You want my time, you want my energy, you have to pay for it. And they were like, well, I don't even need your time and energy. I'm talking about when I asked you for the contact list. And I said, and that's where the intellectual property thing came in. I said, it'll take me 10 seconds to send you that. Right. And like I said, that list is worth hundreds of dollars. And I won't give that freely to anyone because I cultivated those relationships. I built that list. I'm the one who's put in the work. So it's my intellectual property and it costs money. So, and like at that point, I shut them down. They were like, okay, I understand. Like, but I knew they weren't happy with the situation. And then come to find out, we had a mutual friend, or not even a mutual friend, just somebody who knew, and we spoke about the situation. Apparently they have a habit of doing this. There's somewhat of abuse. And I'm like, see, and that's why you're not in my life. Yeah. So, and so that's segueing into this conversation. Like, you can't assume because you know me that I'm going to do so much for you as a favor or for free or whatever, or because I know, like, that's not how things work. And it's even an episode that we have on my show where we talked about what we call it is the homie discount, and at what point does the homie get the discount? Like, what is the discount for them? Like, what's the discount for family? We spoke about all of that.
Let me go back so I can tell the people, because I'm gonna have to go back and watch that episode because I didn't. Go ahead.
It was a season finale of our second season, and we had a panel. We brought in a group of other creatives, and we all spoke about it, and what that means to you. Yeah, the homie discount. It was a really, really cool episode.
I'm gonna need you and your girl to come in on a panel that I'll be putting together, and that's another thing too.
We're there.
I don't like speaking ideas, tweeting ideas, or anything in my head. It may be bomb and I may not even go through with it, or I don't like tweeting it or telling people because they can run with it. And it may not be the greatest idea, but even starting any of this shit here, I didn't tell anyone beforehand. I just, yo, it's dropping.
And that's what it was. You did it because this was your baby. This was your project. Like, you did that. Like, I think there's power in action versus talk.
I feel like,
you know what I mean? Because you could talk and say you're going to do this, this, and this, announce all of these things, but if there's no action behind it, well, then what are you saying? You know what I mean? And so I commend that, especially the creators, because it's hard for us. And, when we actually commit to something and execute it and put it out, regardless of how perfect it is or isn't, we did it. Like, that's all. Yeah.
And it's work. You don't understand it's work. I mean, it looks like it's fugazi, easy shit, but this shit is work. Whether you're cooking, whether you're dancing, you're acting, you're singing,
whether you're making a movie, whether you're making music, like,
this shit is work, and meticulous work, where you're looking at the same shit over and over. Like, it's very tedious, meticulous work that people want. Once they see you got it, like, oh, well, you trying to keep other people down? No, I'm trying to because even if I use friends for anything, graphics, whatever, I'm paying you because you're telling me your price for this, and you're letting me know it's not for free. Now, I've worked with friends that are like, okay, I can't afford that right now, but I can pay you when I get paid. I work and I'll pay you. And I have friends that be like, oh.
And that's another thing about the tribe, because I have a tribe and I know who I share like stuff, because it's always it never feels transactional. It's always a scenario of like, I know who's back I got because they got mine,
right?
Because very few people in my personal circle, like, we support each other significantly, and even if that's not monetary, we know what that exchange is amongst us.
Exactly.
But don't think that because, like, the average Joe isn't going to get that because you haven't cultivated that relationship with me. You know what I'm saying? That's for me to choose. I get to do that with who I choose.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm so glad that y'all spoke about this, and you sent that tweet out at the exact time that I needed to see that shit, and that tweet birthed this. You being a girl.
And I'm glad you saw it, because another point about it is me personally, and I've experienced this because I've done this to myself, is I've undercut myself. I've devalued myself for years in the past, thinking, oh, this isn't like a lot of what my talent isn't worth that much, or I can do this for free. I can do this for. I can give you my time. I can, and I sacrifice for so many people, and then I look at all the things that I've done for a plethora of people. I'm like, well, what do I have to show for it? And so it's like when there's a demand for your talent, no matter what that is, you can monetize it, because when people know what you're good at, and people always asking for favors, well, they're not going to be favors anymore, because now I need to monetize. Especially being queer, like, it's so common that we aren't respected in a variety of industries. I want to be able to have a sense of agency for myself. I want to be a functioning member of society. And so if that's the case, like, you have to respect my work, and you have to understand that it's not free. You know, I refuse to do that to myself anymore because I've done it for years. It was a lesson that I personally had to learn.
And I'm glad now that I'm glad I'm getting the warning. See, you gotta watch. God works in, like I said, whatever you call it, God, the universe, Allah, whatever. It works like that. And those are the miracles. It's noticing these signs. Like you sending that tweet was a miracle. That's a lesson that you were going through that I didn't have to necessarily all the way go through, because I seen what you said and I was like, okay, well, I'm going through this, so I'm gonna stand firm and be like, yo, respectfully, I can't tell you this or do this for free.
Yeah.
So, and undervaluing yourself is always like, who am I to try to charge somebody? Oh, this is just this. Like, I'm not nobody.
That's called imposter syndrome, and a lot of people experience that.
I do it all the time.
Especially creatives. Yeah, it's called imposter
syndrome. I go through it all the time.
Yeah, me too. I've been there. I still go through it, and it's something that I still work on. But I'm conscious. I'm aware of it now. You know, and I'm in a better place to understand. Like I said, hold agency of myself. So
come on,
yeah.
That consciousness, awareness.
Okay. Yes.
I'm glad we brought that up, but I'm finna segue totally on another aspect and that's about these girls right here. So we've got good shit to the deep real. Now this is just some little shit I wanted to touch on. Doja Cat, Nicki Minaj, Meg Thee Stallion, and Beyonce. Now I just want to first say, before I ask you your opinion on any of this, this is about the whole, whatever it is, the music, the songs, the number ones, whatever. But I just want to let people know, especially Barbs out there, that is Doja Cat's song. It's not Nicki Minaj's song. It is Doja Cat. And that's all I got to say, because people just keep what's not clicking. But I mean, I'm so proud of all of them.
Yeah.
Because that is amazing.
Yeah.
All four of those Black women. I don't know what Doja Cat is. She's Black, Latino, whatever. I'm considering.
I don't know what she's mixed with something. But okay. Yeah.
You in the family, you in the brand of us. So we accept you. And I love her. I love all the shit that she's been putting out. Besides that moo cow shit, I wasn't for all that. Nah. But what do you feel about this whole one, number two, Doja Cat coming through, Beyonce not promoting Meg, and all of that?
So first off, I'm gonna say, me personally, I don't give a fuck. I don't, but I say that in this sense, is that, like, you know, like, I'm on Twitter and I'm on social media and I see the Barbs going after this one or whoever. Like, I am happy at the fact that 4 women of color, 4 very talented women, each in their own right, are holding the top 2 spots of the charts, regardless of who's number 1 and number 2. I think it's so common, particularly in gay culture, to pin women against each other. And I don't like, it's ridiculous to me. And what also happens is that I feel like then there's this pressure on these women to think that they're competing when they shouldn't be. I'm an inner feminist. I love the empowerment of women. I love seeing women be leaders. And honestly, like, I commend all 4 of these women for just putting out art during this time and letting us enjoy that. And that's just my honest take. Like, regardless of who's number 2 or who's number 1,
right.
All 4 are top 5. Like, and none of them are bothered by, you know, checks or whatever. Like, they got it. And so I personally don't get into the heated discussions on who's number 1, who's number 2, or who ate better, or who promoted who, or who promoted what. I don't think these women care. Like, I think that they're happy that they can put out their art and they can chart, and that's that. You know, I promote that. I promote badass women doing their thing, and that's kind of my stance on it.
All right, badass doing their thing, and I just want to say, I know one woman that definitely don't give a fuck about none of the shit, and that's Beyonce. She Absolutely. Don't give 2 shits about.
She don't care.
Not.
You know, she got with her girl, you know, H-Town Down. They showed up for Houston. You know, they did their thing. The remix is dope. And I'm sure whatever that exchange was, I'm pretty sure Meg is not pressed by what anyone else is saying.
Bitch.
She worked with Beyonce, and that's on period. That's on
And
that.
that's what you're gonna put on. If I was Meg, that would be on my tombstone. I don't give a fuck about a number one, number two. You're just gonna say Beyonce was featured on something. Beyonce was featured on my shit. Something to that effect. Because
hey, Dustin.
You know Dustin?
Yeah, that's my friend right there.
What's up, Dustin? Thanks for watching. But again, put that on my tombstone. And even if I got number 2 on Billboard Top 100, put that shit on there too. All of those things. If I was just nominated for a Grammy, put that shit on my tombstone.
Bam.
Even if I was just nominated and I didn't win, nominated, I want it on my tombstone in my obituary. Put that on the cover of that.
On the cover.
And that's on that. Now I did.
And that's on that.
Over this shit, and I should have did it right after the motherfucking intellectual property, but who gives a fuck? Love and career. Quickly touching on to this.
Ooh, now you want to spill my tea. Now you want to get into my business. But I've been drinking. Let's go. Let's go.
Love and career. Now, do you feel is for you? I can't speak for everybody else, and do you feel that it's better for you to date another creative or non-creative? And does it matter what creative field they're in? And how could you accept it, or what do you feel about all that? Or do you care if they're creative or not? Or you just looking for love and love is destined and whatever?
So first off, like I love. Enjoy being partnered. I'm single right now, but I think I'm an inner romantic. As far as my partner being a creative or not, I think maybe, and depending on the industry, it could be easier to be with another creative just because they understand how certain industries or certain projects could be demanding. They can understand, you know, what I go through. But then at the same time, I think it's also refreshing to date someone who isn't a creative because like there's a different perspective on how they operate and navigate society and professionally. I think there's always something that could be learned from people who do things that are completely different from you. And so I think just depending on your personal chemistry, I think that's what I like to focus on more so than what they're doing. I just want to make sure you're getting a check, period. But beyond that, I think, yeah. Although I do have experience in my past of like certain types of creators that I might not date again.
And I was just about to ask. Have you had any experience dating containing to creatives or anything love and career where the two conflicted with one another or?
So one thing I can say, I've been used before. And I'm not putting everyone in a box, but like, I know I don't want to date a stylist again, like a fashion stylist.
Okay.
Been there.
Any particular reason why not? It doesn't have to go into detail,
let's just say that, and this is me coming with insight because I have a fashion degree. Like I come from that world. I was in the industry for 12 years so I understand that life can be a very particular kind of demanding. And it can also it can get tumultuous in a relationship. And that's all I'm going to say there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other reason?
And also, like, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I attract a lot of guys in music. And it's never worked. Like, it's never worked. I just be like, I want to try. It's never worked. So me personally, I just don't think it's gonna. Yeah.
Why not? Why not a guy in music?
In most cases, okay. So there's two reasons. One, what I experienced early on was when you're dating someone in music, and I don't judge this in any way, but
Right.
in most cases, you're gonna come second, no matter what. Like I've been in the case where I lose to the studio, and I get that. Like that's what it's considered. So you have to be in the mindset to be okay with that.
Yeah, you
I
did.
actually might be okay with that now, but my younger self, I was like, I don't want to compete with a studio. The second part about it is, which I experienced most recently, or in the last few instances where like I potentially entertain that concept, is because the whole getting used thing. It's like all of a sudden I'm mixing business with pleasure, and I don't want to. Like
Right.
I don't want to do that, and it never comes out good. It never does. And so I'd rather not. And that's one lesson that I've learned going into relationships, because where I'm at now in life is I'm being very intentional about dating, and I'm being very intentional about finding a partner, is that I want to understand that there's going to be a significant boundary between mixing business and personal.
Definitely.
Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
And I wasn't gonna mention this, but I'm a little high right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up.
Come on.
You know that video that's going around the socials and gay Twitter that about the whatever that guy is and his boyfriend. I'm gonna put something up now.
Oh shit.
I was not going to mention this today.
Okay.
It was literally gonna be another day since it's so hot, right? I tried to avoid it. I don't give a fuck when it comes to these gay relationships and shit and all that online and what I don't be giving. That's what I.
If you're gonna put it out like there, be prepared for people to discuss it. That's what.
And I follow a lot of gay people on Twitter, so I'm gonna see that shit. So
okay.
and I just won't give me one fucking second. I don't know if my screen.
And as you're doing that, I'm gonna say Twitter has been quite the key today. I have literally like every 5 seconds another tweet. I literally fall out because this image right.
That right there.
Will, you a fool. Will, I cannot.
I had to put this shit up. I'm gonna take. Let me take. I just.
There's a lot of context in that image. There is a lot of context in that image, and I follow one of those individuals, and so I've seen this story progress, and I don't know them personally. I've met one of them a couple of times a few years ago, very casually, but yeah.
I'm gonna keep popping that up just in case anybody is coming in because I didn't create. I don't know these people's names.
I need the girls are fighting. The girls are fighting. What's the tea?
So people know what the fuck we're talking about because I don't know their names. I know that I looked at his page.
I know their names. I ain't gonna say them, but I know their names. No, it's MJ Harris and Corey.
That's who they named. I'm gonna do it right today because I need people to know.
Yeah, and so if you follow MJ, I mean, he put it out there. If you follow MJ, you can literally backtrack and see the entire scenario play out on camera. So they've chosen to play out this their relationship.
They did
on social media, step by step. I mean, and they've gone into detail.
And I've watched.
And it's definitely been making the rounds on social media. And honey, the kids have been talking today. Just today on Twitter alone, like I couldn't, because that video was released today. The breakup video was released today, this morning.
And the music. I wish I
listen. There's music. There's ring light action. There's.
Right. And you're crying with no tears, honey. I never seen anybody cry with no tears.
With pearly white eyes.
I never seen anybody cry with no tears, honey. My thing is, you got to have these conversations, and even then, I've had this conversation with an ex about open polygamy, people in relationships, threesomes, all of that
Mhm.
shit. In the end, sometimes in the beginning at that time, I didn't tell all the way the truth of things that I wanted because I was flip flop in what I was wanting a monogamous one day. Then I want, okay, well, how about can we think about a threesome? So I accept what I was doing back then.
My thing is, it's nobody's business.
Why
And
are you
like
putting it online?
I don't think anyone learned any lessons here. At least
No, it
all
was
I
just
saw
messy.
was a production.
And what he wanted to capitalize off being the monogamous gay queen that was not going to settle for an open polyamorous fucking
Non-monogamous relationship. Yeah. And just to clarify, let's talk about that terminology here because Corey's not polyamorous, he's non-monogamous. And
non-monogamous.
so polyamorous means they could be in love with more than one
More than one.
person.
Do you
Whereas
believe
non-monogamous, Corey just wanted to be able to have sex with other people, but not be in relationships with them.
Okay.
Because I've teetered on the line of understanding these concepts just because, as we get older, you'd see different types of relationships and whatever works for you and that's your business and nobody else. No one needs to question that. So I like to be educated on what those terms mean. But yeah, to clarify, Corey's never mentioned polyamory. He definitely said non-monogamy because sexually he said it himself that he's hypersexual, and so he wanted to be able to have sex with other individuals but only be in a relationship with MJ.
I think disagree
a lot of people don't understand that.
I don't disagree with Corey. I mean, if that, I don't see
I believe what works for you, and that's what you need to discuss with your partner.
And your partner,
when you put that on an open platform, it becomes open for interpretation or discussion. I mean, and it's a full-on production. So it's just like, how else are we supposed to receive that? Because I know the discussions are two different things on two different platforms. On Instagram, it's one perspective, and on Twitter, it's a whole nother. Because
I don't know what's going on Instagram. I've only got this on Twitter.
Listen, so MJ's audience on Instagram is dominantly women. Oh. And so they perceive the scenario totally different. Whereas
they want monogamy. They want monogamy.
We looking at something else and we're seeing through the veil. And and so that's just, I think that's a unique take. Like go to Instagram and look at the comments and see how much those opinions differ from what's being said on Twitter. Completely different worlds and perspectives.
I was just shocked that they didn't know this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the trending theme among Twitter is that the scenario is staged. And I can see where people might have that perception.
I don't from this latest video, and you're adding the sad music for why?
The ring light and the sad music and the editing and all of this, and like, did you turn on the camera like, okay, I start tears now? Like, it just, the way Corey entered the room carrying the box, it seemed almost like
what's happening.
Like it just was like, you could see his shadow in the background just waiting for his point of entry. Like, wait a minute. This
and
is
a real nigga gonna be like, why are you going live on this? I see if we just slip. I'm not even saying, but if you ended up slipping up telling these people all on whatever platform y'all was on that you like being in a non-monogamous relationship, you my nigga, but I want to fuck other people. If y'all slipped up on that and said that on that platform, cool. But if I'm the one that's on the non-monogamous end, I'm walking through and I see you carry my box to get out of your house to go back to my own house. That's what they said. I'm not going to be like, come back over here and hugging you and rubbing you. What the fuck is happening? 2020 has fucked the fabric of time and space.
Listen, and they took the term quarantine babe to something totally different. Because I'm all for a quarantine babe, but that wasn't what
They were following. I don't know. Okay. They put it out there for us to discuss, and I really was not. I had to put this up. I had to send that to this shit right while I was talking about it.
When I first saw this image, I fell out. They were like,
somebody
tweeted this image and they said a story in 3 parts. And I was done. Like, I just fell out.
Look at the boy in the top corner, the host in the board, in like the FaceTime little square over there with his hand.
That's his best friend.
That
And that's what
killed me.
that's the video where the truth came out.
It slipped
And
up
then the
right there.
second video is the reaction, and the third video is the result. And baby,
Let me
if
see
it was
you.
anything else, it was entertaining. And that's
It
and
was.
that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't like to comment on people's lives like that, but I mean,
You
they
put
put
it
it
out
out.
there. So fuck it. Now, Joshua, this has been so fucking entertaining, and I thank you and I love you. And I'm gonna have you back on. You and your girl, what's her name?
Tariq.
I'm gonna have you back on, but I wanted you to just promote your page. I'm gonna give you the screen.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
And you say whatever you want to say, blah da boom da bing da bam, and I'm gonna fade away into black.
For sure. Yeah. Follow me. My Instagram and Twitter is jpinnotes at jpinnotes, and then follow my show page on Instagram. It's at LayMayDay Limelight. But on my page, you can see everything that I'm doing with Obvious Magazine, SoCal Mag, and like the dope content that I put out because I like to take cool pictures. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. And
Thank you
stay safe, and just
so
and this and last thing I want, like, demonstrate love. Demonstrate love of all things. I'm definitely an advocate for love, especially love within our community. So if you can do anything to demonstrate positivity and love, do that. And yeah, that's my thing.
Love is
And
all.
last to you, Will, I want to commend you because just to tie it all together, like I live for these moments because I live to see people in our community doing this. And no
Yes.
one else is giving us these opportunities, so we're making them for ourselves. And I commend you for doing what you're doing. And whether you have 1 million listeners or 5, it doesn't matter. Someone's paying attention and someone's being inspired. So thank you, Will, for creating Sweet the Podcast and just allowing us, people like us, to have these conversations.
Yes, thank you for that. It means a lot just hearing that. Boom, I'm fulfilled, and I thank you so much. I'm gonna have you and your girl on this shit. I'll send you all that shit, whatever they.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the
Count us
episode will
in.
be.
Sharik is a riot. Like, she's
Tariq,
a great
girl,
conversationalist. Yeah.
I want you, but
Mhm.
thank you so much. And look, I ain't even finna close you out this box. I'm finna just end this live. Okay, I'm finna end it like this. Like, thank y'all for listening to Sweet the Podcast. Please follow, subscribe. It's so much shit, God. Facebook,
All of
Twitter,
it.
Instagram, YouTube, Sweet.ThePodcast. One word, no spaces. You can listen on Apple, Spotify, Google. Anywhere you can listen to a motherfucking podcast, you can listen to this shit. And
Period.
and thank y'all. And we'll be back again Sunday with Tea with Friends. And I'm gonna have you on with Tea with Friends. I'm gonna mix Tea with Friends.
Let's link. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yes.
All the fuck up. Again, thank you so much. Carlos Miguel.
Yeah, that's my boy. That's my Puerto Rican poppy.
Puerto Rican Poppy, your team came.
My friends came through. Look, my friends was on. They was on.
You got
all
a
of
team.
them. Yes.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much. And aha.